Hello everyone, Lean here, and welcome back to another Overexplain video. Today going over Gondor as requested from the last Overexplain, and Gondor actually has not that much to talk about compared to mechanics in an overall nonsense like Mordor has. Gondor is very straightforward, and that is a good thing because every game needs that faction you can just look at. Take a good 10 games into and just get good at them. That's literally all you need to do to really get Gondor under your wing and make them amazing. But since we have a video to make anyway, let's start going over everything about Gondor. So Gondor's main mechanics are two that also quite are known through some other factions, but not as impactful as they are for Gondor. So first one is their formations. Most Gondor units have a formation or two. Let me just get out of that view so I can see with speed again. You can see all their basic Anorian troops all have a form of formation that gives them an advantage and a disadvantage. For the swordsman, it's bonus armor, a reduction of speed, and clumping up together. The porcupine formation means they can't move, but they are able to protect things from all around them 360, so they don't have any flank damage being dealt to them. And the archer's loose formation gives them bonus damage and reduction of speed. So obviously that doesn't mean much in the terms of archers because you don't really move them around much. And then we have our citadel guards with their shield wall formation for even more armor at the cost of even more speed. And of course the guards at the Fountain Court have their three unique different formations. They're bulwark, wide, and battle formations. And each of them are good, and each of them are buffed by the formations of Gondor power, which we'll go into when we talk about powers. The second most important mechanic about Gondor is their fiefdom mechanic, that you can build a signal fire on a settlement, and over time you will accrue points from the errand riders, and you can send them off to one of the four fiefdoms. Well, four of the many fiefdoms of Gondor. There's Penrith-Gellan, Lasarnak, Pelagia, and the Blackroot Vale, and they give you each one of these units that has a specialty about them. Where instead of having a formation, except for the spearmen, these two units don't have formations. They still have special abilities that give them a bonus against a certain thing. And the Blackroot Vale archers just have bonus resistances to other ranged attacks, which is good if you're doing a ranged free-for-all. And then you've also got the Athelian Rangers that have are technically a fiefdom, but come from your archery range, but also from your ranger tents at level 3. And of course your other fiefdoms are the Men of Dol Amroth. And it's important to note that they are still classified as a fiefdom when you look at Prince Imrahil's ability to boost all soldiers of the fiefdoms by a certain stat. You can see it will affect the Men of Dol Amroth and the men from the Signal Fire fiefdom, but not the Athelian Rangers. They're technically not a fiefdom, but I call them a fiefdom from time to time. So that is their main mechanics. Again, not really much to talk about, because Gondor doesn't need all the wacky wavy abilities. I guess you could say the other mechanic is the fact that, again, something that everyone else normally has, but they have the largest array of discounts. They've got two different discounts for their settlements, 2 discounts for their outer settlements, further discount gains for using taxes, a discount on your expanded storerooms, which is something that no other faction has, discounts on all buildings from the stoneworkers, and any other discount. Oh, they used to have discounts on heroes from the heroic statues, but they removed that, I think. I'm fairly certain. It doesn't say it on the tooltip anymore. It may say it on the little Palantir hood, but I'm convinced it no longer exists. And that also leads us into their strengths and weaknesses, because their main strength is the fact that they can make everything cheaper, so that they can just go around doing more things regularly, but also can make units for free through a signal fire if it's well protected, which is a core thing. Always build a signal fire close to your base if you know you can protect it. If it's behind your base and away from all the trouble, even better. It just means it can accrue all those errand riders, and then when you have the power to give your fiefdom units instant upgrades, you can just build an entire army out of fiefdom troops, no problem. Another strength is the fact that their roster is pretty good. It's the average stat line for most of their units, and they have a lot of different damage variety. And again, things like chop damage from Pinifgel's swordsman. They obviously have their slash specialist, pierce. They have their cavalry, which is really good. They can get a lot of stat boosts from different leaderships from all their different heroes. And they just don't have any real faults. All their units are good. All their units fulfill a role. You're never just like, okay, so I've got this unit, then I've got this other unit that does basically the same thing. What's the point of using this one over this one? We're not got any real comparisons here because you've got your basic troops. I'm going to kill Gollum in a second. Hold on. Where is he? You're interrupting me. There we go. Anyway, back to the video. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, all your units have a purpose. Some are for free and are limited access because you can only get them for as long as you have errand riders and signal fires. Others you spend your resources on. You can make them cheaper for a moment, but get no upgrades for them if you use Denethor's abilities. You can get your elite units at a certain point and they become valuable, but you shouldn't get them early on because of the problems that come with elite units, as we talked about in a Battle School video if you want to go and watch that. And overall, for weaknesses for Gondor, I'd say their only weakness is their reliance on their heroes, because their heroes give so many different buffs and effects. Without them, their faction is very bland. Because again, it's a very standard faction. It has all the standard things. There's no real mystery behind what you're doing with Gondor. You make big, beautiful, shining silver armies, and you just throw them at your enemy, and you just enjoy it because that's what Gondor does. But without your heroes, you miss out on having protection for your buildings, having regen, having mass damage, having crowd control, having leadership buffs and other temporary effects. You miss out on devastating abilities and summons. And then also you got characters like Aragorn who go through all their stages. That's a nice little thing. Oh great, Gollum's back. But yeah, honestly, overall that's the only real weakness to Gondor. Without their heroes, they're bland. And I've seen people try to play with minimal heroes for Gondor. You can play it that way. I find that's a very boring way to play Gondor because, again, they are a very bland faction without adding the extra fun of the heroes. And that goes for Arnor and Belfalas at the same time. Their roster doesn't really do something crazy like with having Dol Guldur or Minas Morgul. You have some slightly better orcs. You can upgrade your other orcs to give them more health, resistances, or poison damage. Gondor doesn't have that. It just has more stat boosts and cool-looking cavalry as their outpost choice. But that's not a bad thing. Again, it's their uniformity and simplicity that gives them strength. It's just, in my opinion, can be really bloody boring if all you're doing is running a few things that you will always run anyway. And eventually you'll get bored of trying to play with Gondor if you don't spice it up with different hero combinations, because back in the day, I say, unironically, Beregond is his restoration ability used to get you more errand riders for like no cost whatsoever. You could just make an army of fiefdom troops from like the first few minutes of the game just by getting Beregond to level 3 and having a signal fire, which was ridiculously strong. And on the same note, Denethor has an ability that, as I've already mentioned, makes it so your basic units can't get upgrades, but they cost less, they recruit faster, and it's just an emergency situation. Denethor makes it so it's interesting. And even characters like Pippin, with his little vision reveal, very, very handy. You need vision as Gondor. It helps. That's why I got 2 heroes with vision abilities. But yeah, off from the weaknesses, we now go to the roster. Nowhere near as long as it's going to be with Mordor, thankfully, because yeah, Gondor soldiers, very easy to talk about. You get the Forged Blades, heavy armor, banner carriers, you make them look beautiful, you give them shield wall formation, they get that extra glow if you've got the power to just give them a bigger clump. But also, always be aware if your enemy is using AoE attacks, because even though this is more armor, if they're doing AoE damage, they're now clipping more things all at once. Like a siege trebuchet could probably hit all of those at once and kill them. So always be aware of if they're actually going to be using things that can counter your formations. Next up are the Gondor pikemen. Again, very simple. They get upgrades and they get the porcupine formation, which, as I've already said, just makes it so you're like a shieldtron. You're hard to hit from every angle. You can't really get flanked, but you also can't move, because if you do, you come out the formation. Gondor archers, pretty standard archers. As I said already, they get more damage and reduction of speed. If you're on a wall, for example, you should just have them in that formation permanently, because that means they're not moving around as much. They're not likely to just run off the walls and out of a postern gate and just end up killing themselves out in the field against some cavalry. The Citadel Guards, again, nothing really special other than their formation. They get extra armor, a reduction of massive amounts of speed. Which, again, if you're going against a faction that knows how to use AoE attacks, so for example, Boromir, his AoE knockback attack, Gandalf, his Wizard Blast, Trebuchets, Rohirrim also, but obviously don't charge into pikemen with Rohirrim, that's silly. But yeah, AoE, watch out, because that clump is detrimental at times. And then your last basic Anorian troop is the, I was about to say them, but no, it's the Anorian Knights. They have the extra shields you can purchase, which gives them increased armor against swordsmen and against arrows, same as with Rohan, which I'll be going over next video. They get the battle formation, gives them even more armor against swords and arrows, but less speed. So if you're already in the conflict, unlike with Rohan, where you're constantly ducking in and out, these guys don't have spears or lances, they have swords. So you actually want them in their battle formation to fight once they're in there for a while, because they can be really handy against anything that's not a pikeman. Even against pikemen, actually, you can use that formation, and you're less likely to trample them, so you actually have a source of damage that specialist types are resistant to, but it's just more damage, so it's really good. But also, just your basic knight, it's a lot more expensive than your basic knight. Currently 720 because of all the farms I have, but normally 800. So keep an eye on that. And then we have the Athelian Rangers. They're your first basic unit that has an actual ability, which is the Unexpected Salvo. You do triple your basic damage to a normal target, revealing them for 15 seconds. You can give them fire arrows to give bonus damage to that, and also the composite bows to do double damage, but also reduce the timer on Unexpected Salvo. So this ability becomes a lot stronger. It's not the old Arrow Storm that it used to be. You can get them as Arnor, I will mention here, but I'll mention it more thoroughly in the Arnor video. But yeah, they now just have a single target, pew pew, and it does big damage against anything. And then lastly, our main troops from our base are the Fountain Court Guards. In their battle formation, you can see they have their long spears in hand. They get the ability at level 3 called Rally. The Fountain Court Guards are the most determined warriors in all of Gondor, with sheer, endless endurance and an unbreakable spirit. For 30 seconds, they heal with each melee attack and knock back enemies. Now, I need to actually apologise for the short videos where I just basically had these units getting disrespected the entire time. This unit is not meant to be the best with just their base stats at level 1. They're not meant to be. They're meant to be, well, firstly, gaining bonus stats from just having the Formations of Gondor permanently, 10% damage and armor boost just from doing nothing. Secondly, you need Aragorn around to give them bonus stats, either in damage and armor or further away bonus speed, if as long as he's on the field, and also their different abilities. So, for example, this heal would have made it so they could have beaten probably not the brutes, but definitely the Orphanc Guard in that first bout. In their Bulwark formation, they gain the ability Defenders of the White Tree. The Fountain Court Guards are Gondor's greatest defenders and protectors. For 20 seconds, their movement speed is reduced even further, but units and heroes directly behind them are invulnerable. So make sure you've got them in the right formation. Make sure you have your heroes actually behind them. And then boom, you just got bonus protection against your heroes, even though you don't really need it when you got a hero like Baragond, who does the exact same thing, nearly. He actually got nerfed, but we'll go over that later. And then finally, their wide formation, they gain the ability for the White City. The Fountain Court Guard pursue... Oh, and this is also when they get swords. The Fountain Court Guard pursue any enemy who sullies the honor of Gondor. For 30 seconds, they gain speed and deal more damage to heroes. That's right, they actually are hero slayers in this form. To an extent. Obviously, they're not going to be as strong as an actual hero killer like Aragorn. But it's nice to see they actually have a Aragorn-esque ability. So yeah, this unit is very versatile. What makes them strong is not their simplicity, like it is with other heroic troops sometimes. With the Fountain Court Guards, they are the most complex of your base units. So it's important to make use of every single one of those different versatilities. Which is again why they kind of just lost, because they were going against things that have different stats that are better against them than they would against other units. Also because they're just pikemen, which are, again, meant to be the counter to cavalry. If they're not fighting against cavalry, they should not be fighting alone. Again, I apologise for those short videos. Yes, it was educational to learn, and we actually found some bugs, thanks to the guy that found that out in the source code. But yeah, don't forget, this unit is not meant to be your front line. They're meant to be in your back line, and then they hit the hardest, because you're meant to keep them alive for the longest. Now we come to our fiefdom troops, starting with my favourite, the Pinnith Gellan Swordsmen, who have the ability Cutting Blade. The envoys deal bonus damage against enemies without heavy armour, but only moderate damage against enemies with heavy armour. That just means if they have heavy armor, your enemy has heavy armour, they're going to do about as much damage as the Anorian soldiers. If they don't have heavy armour though, they do 50% more damage to the armour of the armour class of the unit that they're attacking. Because if you actually go into the Edain mod wiki or just into the actual source code itself, if you look at the armour class of most entities without heavy armour, you'll see their chop resistance is actually a lot less than their slash resistance. And that's because, of course, this unit has chop damage. But again, that's all it really has. Still really good though. Other than that, exactly the same stats as the Anorian soldiers. So just a cheaper version if you can afford it. Now this is a unit I never really get myself, but they are so cool looking now. The Lasarnak Axe Warriors. With their splintering axe blows, they inflict structures with 20% reduction in armor for 10 seconds with each of their hits. So obviously if they're just running back and forth between a bunch of different buildings while everyone else is damaging them, really good. A specialist unit that you don't really see in most factions that just damages buildings. The only other faction you see this in is Erebor, but they also do it against other units' armor. So then we have our Pelagia Monster Slayers. You can see they're not actually wielding spears, they're wielding tridents. It's not easy to tell because of how the model here kind of still points it all together, but it is meant to be a trident because it's of the city of Pelagia. And if you watch the Rings of Power, you know Pelagia, well, if you just know Lord of the Rings in general, you'll know Pelagia is a mariner fiefdom. As you can also see from their banner, they've got an anchor on the back. And their ability is the Troll Bender Formation. The Monster Slayers gain armor against monsters and cannot be knocked back, but deal less damage. So obviously, again, it's the back and forth of formations. But its formation is unique in the fact that it stops them from being knocked back, which means they're not taking cavalry damage, which means they're not dealing revenge damage. So it's an odd mix. If the monsters or cavalry you are fighting are already in the mix, are trying to run away, you can actually block them. Because if unit can't actually get through a unit, it actually just sits there and has to either run away or just has to fight. It can't run through a unit if it can't run through them. That's what sometimes happens with other units. If they're already in a clash, you can't escape. And this unit is basically that wide formation. The purpose of it is to trap cavalry inside And if you have enough of them, you can actually go around like this and this and this. You just trapped a bunch of cavalry in a trollbender formation. It's really funny. Hard to achieve, because at the end of the day, the cavalry can still deal more damage than the trollbenders and kill them and then escape. But if you then trap them, if they try fighting back, just go back into this formation and watch them accidentally run into you. It's hilarious. Oh, it's so good. And then lastly, the Blackroot Vale archers we've talked about. The same stats as your Anorian archers, but have the loose formation. Bonus armor against ranged units, but deal less, or have less movement speed. So again, kind of like these guys, but instead of having more armor, they deal more damage. Kind of like Lothlorien, in the sense that your base units deal more damage, but your outer base units have a more armor theme to them, like Mirkwood and Lorien. Lastly, for our unit roster, well, before we go to Siege, we're going to talk about the Men of Dol Amroth. Firstly, the Men-at-Arms, the dismounted knights, have the ability Inspiration. Nearby friendly infantry receive 25% damage, attack damage. Does not affect other soldiers of Dol Amroth. Know how that says nearby friendly infantry. Not just fiefdom infantry, all infantry. So this is another support class hero that if you have even just one of them, boom, all your armies are stronger. All your allies' armies are stronger. Everything they have is just stronger. For a simple cost of 500. Reduced if you have townhouses, which is insane to me. This is a beautiful unit. It's your only elite tier swordsman unit, and it shows. It's really good. And lastly, our second heroic unit, one of my favourite cavalry units, just by design as well, the Dol Amroth Swan Knights. They start with the ability Shattering Rush, which is similar to the Glorfindel Wind Riders, before they actually got changed a little bit, I think. When they trample anything, they just get trampled. They just deal more damage, but also don't slow down as much. Which is, again, also similar to the Enlarged Wrist charge and the Royal Vanguard charge of Rohan. So yeah, a lot of cavalry have this ability because it just makes sense. It's simple. More damage on the charge, more ability to keep charging. Just good. And you also get your own inspiration, but only for cavalry. But also, you know, not just your cavalry, all cavalry, all friendly cavalry, not Gondor cavalry, not all elite Dol Amroth cavalry, all cavalry except for Knights of Dol Amroth. Really cool, really good, nice and simple. And then finally, into the battle. The Knights of Dol Amroth prepare for the sortie. For 30 seconds, they can't trample enemy units, but receive more attack damage and armor. So this is the kind of ability you use if you're going up against pikemen. You just throw it out, and then they can't revenge damage you, but they can still kill you just from dealing damage. But then, obviously, Imrahil has a bunch of other things that make these units just out of the stratosphere amazing. I will always, if possible, get an outpost just for these cavalry. It's so worth it. They're so much fun. And that is the unit roster. Did not take anywhere near as long as it did for Mordor because the roster is a lot smaller. Again, that's one of their strengths and weaknesses at the same time. But lastly, we have a unique siege unit, the Anorian Siege Shield. The Siege Shield and allied units behind the shield are immune against arrows from buildings and range attacks from enemy units. Requires a target building or range unit to activate the effect. The Siege Shield automatically turns towards targets. I never use this. I don't care to use this. If anyone can confirm if this actually works, please tell me. I don't want to have to test it myself. Then you have your battering ram, which has a unique ability in itself in the metal roof, which means it can sustain more damage from ranged attacks, but only arrow range attacks, but also other elemental sources. So things like fire arrows that normally can shred through most battering rams will have a much harder time against the Anorian battering ram, which is cool. It means you've actually got some way of getting through all the nonsense that people might have on the walls. But let me remind you that this is only from arrows. Axe throwers, pitch throwers, anything that's not an arrow that does pierce damage, I'm fairly certain gets through that effect. Unless the wording is wrong, or they just try to make it so it's not clear that siege damage still goes through perfectly fine. But yeah, A metal roof is meant to protect it from anything that would try and be thrown at it. So spears and axes should technically also be included in that metal roofing description. They probably didn't want to have to write it all in. And then finally, the trebuchet. The siege unit that we've had since BFME 1 has not changed a bit. It has the auto-acquire, you can get firestones, and you can bombard with it. Nothing ready to talk about that siege. And now we come to the heroes, the interesting thing about Gondor, and makes them one of my favourite factions, and possibly the strongest faction. Firstly, we have Peregrine Took. He can throw a stone or swing his sword. He can use his elven cloak to become invisible for a few moments, as long as you don't move him. His Curiosity of the Fool ability actually got changed quite a few times. It firstly was, you use it, he moves less for the duration. But now they've changed it so he can see a lot and move faster at the same time. They've basically given Merry and Pippin the same ability now. Because it used to be that Pippin would have the vision range because he would look into the Palantir. And Merry would have the movement speed because he, you know, he's a brandy book, is my explanation. Yeah, Curiosity of the Fool, pretty good. Can give you a nice big vision range if I didn't already have the entire map vision. That kind of made it a moot point. You can then also spend 500 resources on him, on the base 100, to make him a Guardian of the Citadel, which gives him 1,000 more health. I'm not sure if this is actually exactly 1,000. We're going to test that now, or if it changes depending on his level, because he also goes immediately to level 5. So that plus 1,000 HP might also be a part of the leveling structure, if he, you know, isn't already level 10, which he is here. Let's see. He also gets some nice armor. He actually gets more armor, so I was right. That 1,000 health gets you to level 5. But then afterwards, that keeps scaling up by an extra, I'd say, 300, if my math is anything to be desired. And then finally got Dagger of the Noldor. Again, another ability that Merry shares with Pippin is he uses the Dagger of the Noldor, a gift of Galadriel, to cunningly attack his enemies. He will leap in a straight line towards a target enemy, dealing heavy damage to anybody who he hits on the way, and dealing double damage if he hits enemies from behind. So if I was to, say for example, target that banner carrier, it's kind of weird that I can, but yeah.
Let's get another one.
If these were in a cluster formation, that would probably hit 6 of those, all for double damage from behind, and also the banner carrier himself, which is really good damage, because yeah, that's a lot of damage you get from that. I don't think it actually uses your base melee damage. I think it uses your melee damage scaled upward, because it's meant to be a special ability at level 10. So say it doubles the damage, so 320 damage. From behind does double damage, and then I don't think if flanking damage is applied, but if flanking damage is applied as well, that's another double on the double on the double, which is hilarious. If the map is like that. Anyone who actually knows, let me know. I kind of want to find out. Next up on our list is Beregond. His abilities have a special. I'm going to actually start from the very bottom because he has a unique thing that all his ability can only target buildings or affect buildings. But at level 10, he gets all his abilities can target heroes and also becomes Faramir's personal. Some of Faramir's personal bodyguards. He used to be called the Guardians of the White Company, I think. He's just the commander of the White Company. But yeah, his abilities is Guardians of the White Company, but first it starts off like Guardians of the Citadel. Beregond calls his men to aid a ally building or hero. You can see around him, they summon a mix of archers and pikemen. It used to be all pikemen, but now they're all mini Beregons. But they also have a mix of archers in there, which is nice. You then have Keep Fighting. Fallen members of allied troops near the target hero or building will be regenerated for 30 seconds. Bodyguard of the Prince. Beregond defends his Lord Faramir and his land as a captain of the White Company. Nearby heroes gain armor. Buildings in a large area suffer less damage from infantry and cavalry, and less damage from fire mortars and siege engines. The only bit of that's different when he gets to level 10 is the extra hero boost. Again, everything he has normally only affects buildings when he's under Denethor's rulership, but when Faramir becomes the new steward and Beregond takes over for his liege, he gets the bonuses of also affecting heroes. And then also, Retta in the Not is obviously not meant to be that because it's German. But all allied buildings and heroes will get a nice little glow around them to tell you that they have now got quadruple armor. It used to be invulnerability for 30 seconds. I'm actually glad they've changed it. It is ridiculous what Baragon could do. Again, also with Keep Fighting being able to target a signal fire, he needed to be nerfed. But yeah, still really good hero, still really good abilities. Has a range to him, but it's still really good. Next up, let's actually go to Faramir, who I've got with the Aphelion Rangers here. He starts now with his Knight Ranger toggle, for those that remember the days he didn't. He also doesn't have the ability to swap between his sword and bow. He instead uses the ability Proven Valor. Faramir strives above his father's appreciation, and with all his strength he fights to earn some fame. For a short period he attacks with increased determination and gains armor, and receives double experience for every defeated enemy. Which I think is also copy-pasted off of Carthian from Arnor. In his ranger form, he attacks with a sword for the duration of the ability. As you can see, he now swaps to his sword, can no longer use his toggle onto his horse, and he can't use his cripple shot because, you know, there's no point of using a bow when he's currently wielding a sword. Next, he has the ability Prince of Aphelion. Even in times of great hardship, Faramir fills the hearts of his brothers at arms with courage. All nearby friendly units gain fear resistance, infantry gain damage, cavalry gain armor. This used to be different depending on who was near him. Soldiers would gain, I think, armor. Rangers would get, well, ranged units even, will get damage. And I don't think cavalry were actually included in that unless you were on your horse. Then you have a crippling shot, which changes when you go onto your horse. I'll actually show that now. So crippling shot is a small AoE explosion attack, which knocks things back and kills them. So again, watch out when you're using that clump formation. And when he's on his horse, he uses the ability Heroic Charge. Charge that target unit becoming invulnerable, knocking back all units in the way. So again, you actually have to have a target, but, you know, it's still pretty good. And then finally, you have the Captain of Gondor. Allies in the target area gain 50% speed, which slowly decays over 60 seconds. You say that as if 60 seconds is a long time, as a short time even. That is a long-ass time. That's 50% speed. May not seem like it's actually decreasing over time because you're mainly going to be using it on cavalry. But if you're using it on rangers, for example, let's just show off. Like, that is some pretty good speed. That is amazing speed to have on even just rangers. Just have them reposition into woods or escape from anything. That's going to be hard to escape from. Hard to escape from or hard to chase after, should I say. And again, that doesn't depend on his formation. He just gets out at level 10. And that used to just be an experience buff. Faramir got beautifully enhanced in the patch 4.7. I think that's when Faramir got changed. Was it 4.7.2? Anyway, when the Gondor had their big patch, that's when Faramir really started becoming a hero I like to play with, instead of just being I might get him, might not. Next up, we have the heir of Gondor. Sorry, not the heir of Gondor, the son of Gondor, Boromir. His ability, Last Stand. For anyone that's played against him or knows him, you know his ability is amazing. He'll continue to fight for 15 seconds when his health bar is depleted. You'll hear him screaming, "Ah!" or "For Gondor!" when this happens. He does more damage, slows enemies by 30%, and can't be knocked back for this time. So it's keeping enemies locked in place as a final, either last-ditch effort to help people escape, or to keep them trapped so that your allies can join in the fight before it's too late. And then after that, obviously, Boromir reduces the damage of his targets by 20% for 5 seconds with every attack as a passive. That's new. I'm sure that's new. I've not seen that before. I've just not read it before, I guess. Then he has the Horn of Gondor. Again, it seems to have some new things. Horn of Gondor, it was said in legend that if the Horn of Gondor was blown up anywhere within the bounds of ancient Gondor, its call would not pass unheeded. Enemies in close vicinity are stunned. All allied units on heroes on the map gain speed for 25 seconds. How long has that been a thing? But I need to play Gondor again. My God. I've not played Gondor for long enough. It's been too long. What have they done to my boy? They've made him better. Why have they done this to my boy? Then he gets the Heir of Gondor at level 5, where he gets his, where he dons his armor instead of having his more Fellowship of the Ring attire. Where he, obviously you can see he gains bonus armor. troops. Oh yeah, also troops around Boromir gain bonus armor, as you can see from the leadership aura currently shining on some of those troops. He also has the ability Brave Resistance. You see that shield he's been wearing on his back, not using. This is when he comes out and uses that shield. Uses a massive round shield to defies his enemies. Temporarily gains a lot of extra armor and immune to knockback. Very few things can knock back heroes, like Breeze on Monway, Fell Wind. Now those can't even do that to Boromir. He's unstoppable. And then finally it says the Veterans of Osgiliath, and I can confirm this power no longer just summons basic troops. This does summon the Veterans of Osgiliath from Belfalas, which are amazing. I love this unit so much. And after years of fighting, the Veterans of Osgiliath have acquired an impressive expertise with different weaponry that allows them to fight all kinds of foes. They are equally effective against infantry, cavalry, and monsters. I have not been able to confirm if they are actually good against cavalry. I was tempted to just test it right now, but they're about to fade away, so maybe if anyone has tested it, let me know. If not, I'm fairly certain it just means they do slash and specialist damage depending on who's attacking, or maybe they just have a mix of both, kind of like the Kidith Ungol Halberdiers. Yeah, Boromir, still a really good hero. Didn't realise he had that. He has also got Ring Hero function and a unit behind that Ring Hero function, which we've not gone over yet, but I want to do that for the very end. Next up on the list, we have Denethor, who levels up very differently from most heroes in that he requires his use of the Clairvoyant Stone to level up to 3 to 5 to 7 to 10, and each time he uses the Palantir, he will get a new ability. He also has 3 different stances depending on what you want in the moment. That will give you bonuses to his attack, because he doesn't actually attack himself unless he's in melee himself. He will always stand far away and raise his hand and summon a bunch of his royal, as I would say royal guard. He summons a bunch of guards. I would call them citadel guards, but yeah, his default stance summons 2 fountain guardians. That's what they're called, fountain guardians, to the location that remain for 10 seconds in melee, then 4 attacks with his sword. Enemies in a medium range are attacked automatically. He can get the speed stance, which raises his attack speed but reduces his attack range. So if you're like in a clump, give him a little bit of space. He won't summon with his sword. He'll just summon some fountain guardians. But if you want him to attack from very, very far away, you've got his range stance. He attacks less often, but he does attack from further away. Quite far away, actually, by 50%. So yeah, it's either 30% speed, 50% range. Those are your options. Then he has, as obviously it says, the Clairvoyant Stone gives you massive vision. Then he has the Emergency Mobilization skill. For 2 minutes, Gondor's barracks train soldiers and pikemen for half their price, but the trained units can't purchase any upgrades nor have any abilities. That just means they don't have a formation. So if you don't have the formation power already, very early game, very good power, really, really good power, because it halves the cost of all your basic infantry, including Anorian archers, by the way. It doesn't say about the archers, but it does. You done, Denethor? Okay, next up, tax abatement, which I want to find out. Does this still work? So, there was a glitch I found with use tax abatement on a building that can recruit things. It will recruit them at nearly instant speed. So let's have 4 rangers in this camp. Yep, it still is a thing. I don't know if this is a feature or a bug. But yeah, if you do the instant 600 resource gain from a building that can recruit things, you can summon things very quickly, but then for 4 minutes you can't recruit anything. So let's actually go over what it says on here. What's meant to happen is all allied economy buildings in the target area instantly pay the income for the next 3 minutes, but are out of order for the next 4 minutes. Does not affect forgers. So that just gave me 2 almost instant speed units of rangers for the cost of now this building can't do anything for 4 minutes. And that's also, you can still see, yeah, we're not recruiting anything. And that's why it gave me 600 resources, because now it's not giving me any resources. What you can do with this is a good strategy, a good tip for you, is use tax abatement, but on a building that's about to be destroyed by, say, an enemy attacking it. Let them make sure that you get those resources, and then demolish the building to get extra resources from the current health of the building that remains. You're preventing them from getting experience. You're getting a massive cash buffer, and again, that's 3 minutes worth of economy, which you can then spend on getting the building back. It's great. Just do it. It's so fun. Then we have the blinded attack order, which has his unhappy face in a scowl. Any ally in the area gains massive attack boosts, but does not gain experience for this those 30 seconds. But you know, if you just want more damage, it works really well. But you can also see some of them aren't in that buff, but because even one of them is, if I try to give them experience, I don't think they'll actually get experience. Let's test this. They shouldn't get experience. Oh, they might still, because it's from a different source. I don't know. I don't know how this power works, really, about the experience. But it does say they shouldn't gain experience, so they maybe don't. But because this is a different power, they still do. If I had Faramir with his other ability, we could have proven that a bit more. But level 10, you get Captain of the Steward. Now summons twice as many soldiers to the battlefield with every attack, but also has a 1 in 3 chance to summon a captain who gives everything nearby damage and armor. So you just get to summon heroic statues on the map for a small time every time Denethor attacks. And you can improve that attack speed and chance of getting that captain quite regularly. And again, all you need to do is just tap this button, Clairvoyant Stone. You've now got massive vision. You can actually see the vision radius now. I think because I used the power from the hidden one. You can actually see the range that he gives. And then this comes back, I'd say, every 2 minutes. So if you use this, by the time this is done, this will have already come back to then use tax abatement, use it again. You get bound attack order, use it again. You've now just got Denethor even stronger. Instead of him making himself weaker from constantly staring into the stone, you're actually making him stronger, which is a good thing. I don't really like the idea of what they did with Age of the Ring, where Denethor gets stronger, but things around him get weaker because of it. It's no. This one's definitely better in my opinion. Next up, I want to talk about Imrahil. One of my favourite heroes who got a change. He actually got changed a bit, but mostly only to his own faction in Belfast, which we've talked about. In Gondor, he is still exactly the same, but he has new designs for all of his tooltips. This is brand new. This is like 4.8.1. They've added these in, because I remember playing with them. We're playing with Belfalas. He had this old tooltip. They've now changed it. So he has his mount dismounts. He's then got the Prince of Dolamroth ability, which, as I've already talked about, means you can give your fiefdom troops either more damage and armor, 50% of each, so again a heroic statue effect. You can even see it works on the Knights of Dolamroth here, because again it affects fiefdom units. And in fact, let's now test that against the Rangers, because I feel like testing it. His other abilities are aggressive tactics, just give them bonus attack damage, no penalty, or bonus armor, no penalty. But yeah, you can see Rangers aren't classified as a fiefdom, even though they are in certain Lord of the Rings games, like Divide and Conquer, Third Age Total War. Then he has, for honor, Imrahil dashes through the enemy lines, treading his foes under the hooves of his powerful horse. It doesn't actually say what it does. It just makes it sound cool. All it really does is make it so his charges do even more damage. I think it's meant to be the same as his Shattering Rush. Also, they've made new voice lines for Imrahil. I don't know if they've actually got some voice actors to do this, or if they just found somewhere else to take it from, because I think they originally took it all from the either the Hero Gondor Creator Hero, or from somewhere else. I can't remember. I think it was from the Creator Hero that they took his original voice lines from. Next, he has Discipline. Imrahil and the soldiers of Dolamroth resist even the worst wounds in battle. For a short time, they heal themselves at every attack, so again, similar to the Fountain Court Guards. And cavalry heal twice as much as infantry, so these guys are never going to die. As long as they don't charge into pikemen, they're never going to die. They're just super tanky and durable. And you can also summon your Atheling Guard, which will depend upon they will be either mounted or on foot, depending upon if Imrahil is mounted or on foot. That used to not be a thing, but they have the ability Atheling Guard. Imrahil's abilities will recharge faster while near the Atheling Guard, and they also just have a permanent discipline ability active, where they just heal themselves with every attack, which is really cool. So for honor and discipline, maybe there's only 2 abilities that you actually want to be using constantly. Also technically the Atheling Guard ability as well. So if the Atheling Guard do die, you can just get them back quicker through the Atheling Guard ability. You can only have 1 though. You can only ever have 1. Unlike Kimor's ability, which gives you 3, Imrahil can only summon 1 Atheling Guard. Only 1 best of the best. Next hero we have Aragorn Strider, who starts off as Strider, but you might imagine, surely the King of Gondor won't remain hiding like this. That's right, he doesn't. If you've not played Edain before, this is what he starts with. He starts with Blade Master, gains bonus attack and armor. Notice how Blade Master changes over time. It just starts off as a basic ability. This gives him more attack and armor, making him a Hero Slayer. He also has the Ranger's Cloak. As long as Strider doesn't move, he stays camouflaged. But if he is close to trees, Strider gets camouflaged automatically. But you can just say, click the ability to completely camouflage yourself. And then you obviously break out of it, but it comes back quickly. It's the same ability as what Pippin has. Let's not pay attention to that anymore. We have King's Foil. The soothing effect of King's Foil heals nearby allied heroes. Also another ability from the good old days. It then has Knife Throw. He hits something for medium damage with his dagger he got from Celeborn. But also heroes hit are slowed. So again, another hero killer effect. It's pretty well built basic hero killer. But then at level 4, because you know, you can't just stay as a ranger forever, Aragorn. You've got to go down the righteous path towards your destiny. At level 4, he becomes his Aragorn form in the Lord of the Rings 2 Towers.
Some evil gives speed to
And he already has Anduril, Flame of the West. Also, technically, between the 2 Towers and Return of the King, after he summoned the Army of the Dead to help in the fight of Pelennor Fields. Now Anduril, Flame of the West now carries the newly reforged blade Anduril. Aragorn permanently gains damage points, but actively you gain more damage and armor. Just like the same. He does the same thing, just even more. Athelas. Power of Athelas heals nearby heroes, same as before. Knife Throw. Throws his knife at an enemy dealing medium damage. Doesn't say anything about the slow anymore. Not going to test it, but I can imagine if it should probably still be in effect. He then gains a new ability, Elendil, instead of his cloak, because he shed his cloak. He shed his ranger path, and he can make enemies run away in fear. And at level 7, he can become the heir to Gondor. The attire he wears in the Battle of the Black Gate. He can now also, again, use Anduril, Flame of the West, more damage and armor. Athelas, more healing. He can now call upon Brego, his loyal steed, from Rohan. He can still use Elendil, but now he also, you can see he lost his knife throw. He instead can now become King Elessar. The time has come for Aragorn to claim the crown and become the King of Men, giving people new hope. Special effects while Aragorn is king. Heroic statues will give friendly units more damage and armor. Near Aragorn, units near Aragorn will be fearless. There was meant to be a comma there, I just didn't say it properly. So, you also see he's got this effect, and this is when the Falcon Core Guard actually get the Return of the King ability, because he needs to be in his king form for it to actually take effect. So, he still has Anduril, Flame of the West, that hasn't changed from when it was in his level 4 state, when he claimed his birthright. He still has Athelas, he still has Brego. He no longer has Elendil, but instead has Demand of the King. Aragorn summons a crowd of Oathbreakers in a circle around him. Enemies passing through them suffer heavy damage, as you can imagine. And also the King of Men ability, which is new passive. Also on top of that, you can just remember heroic statues have more healing. In fact, you can also nearby things that have more damage and more armor. And if Aragorn was to ever be slain while in any of those previous forms, he will return to Strider. Just remember that. Because if Boromir takes the ring, by the way, if Aragorn isn't already crowned king, he can't be crowned king as long as Boromir is the ring bearer. Because he takes the crown, basically. In his, not mad state, but definitely in a fury to help Gondor's people. And then finally we have Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White, if you have the power. I'm not going to go over the different ring hero forms, don't worry. So he gets Wizard Blast, same as it's always been. Cone, AoE in front of him. His Lightning Sword, good against single target entities and heroes. He can ride upon Shadowfax at level 5. You can use Shine his Astari Light, which can kill nearly any flying entity in the game at one hit. Definitely can kill Nazgul at one hit. And then his Word of Power, which we all know, we all love it. Let's just see it. Beautiful. Now, with all the heroes talked about, let's talk about our structures, because there are a lot of them. And that's why I've got the outpost here, so I can actually talk about the other 3 buildings that most good factions have. So we start with, in our base, our resources are the Townhouse and the Blacksmith. Townhouses give us discounts to expanded storerooms, elite and heroic units. You can see here we have 2, and they're already giving a discount to our best troops. Our Blacksmith gives a discount to our upgrades, and also where we get our upgrades from. We then have the Barracks, which we can get from here. We can get Baragond, Boromir, our soldiers, pikemen, Guards of the Citadel, Fountain Court Guards, and the Guards of the White City, but we'll talk about them later. We then get the Anorian Archers from our archery range, Ithilien Rangers, and the Fire Arrows. Also, nothing to note about Gondor's buildings, and the military buildings anyway. You upgrade them tier by tier. So if you have a level 3 building, if it gets demolished, you have to rebuild it from tier 1 to tier 3 all over again. And unlike other factions, where the Guards of the Citadel require their upgrades to be recruited, all these guys need is to have the level 3 barracks, which costs 1,000. And then the archery range is the same deal. Tier 1 you get archers, tier 2 rangers, tier 3 fire arrows. Then the stables, tier 1 you can get knights, tier 2 you get the shields, and in tier 3 you just have faster recruit speed. And also from both of these buildings you can recruit Faramir. Your siege works, we recruit your siege, quite obvious. Also the firestones, you start with the siege shield and the battering ram. Tier 2 you get the trebuchet, tier 3 the firestones. You then have your marketplace where you can spend 1,200 for the grand harvest to increase the production of all your farms. Note how that says farms, it means quite literally the resource building the farm. Gets more resource generated by 30%. It's so good and so cheap. You then get the increased taxes. The discount of townhouses now also affects your regular units. Let's recruit that. Let's research that quickly because I want to test that with Denethor's emergency mobilization. So currently 180. This should reduce it to 100. But if the extra discounts from the townhouses is applied, yep, 90. And also 135 and also 135. So townhouse discounts with increased taxes and Denethor, you can get cheap troops, cheaper than some goblins. It's incredible. And these are Gondor soldiers. They're not pushovers like goblins. These boys know how to scrap. You can also get the iron ore, which allows you to get your upgrades from your forge, and also you recruit your tool upgrades from there. My throat's already starting to go. Oh dear. Then we have the unique building for Gondor is the Stoneworker. You can build one of them, and you already get a 25% discount on all buildings. That's what I was saying about Gondor having the best discounts in the game. Discounts on all buildings? You can recruit this you can burst immediately and just get value immediately from it. It's great. You can also build the reinforced gate to give your gate a fresh new look. It already looks amazing, mind you, though. Got the Minas Tirith gate vibe. But you can make it even stronger with the Crown of the King. You can get the Númenórean stonework to make those stone walls that already, again, look really bloody good, make even look better. You can get the reinforced fortress garrison, which doubles the number of archers in wall towers. You can get the flaming stones, which gives your trebuchets on your walls flaming stone increased damage. And also the best thing about the stoneworker is the siege materials. You no longer have to be constantly deleting your buildings. You can just let them get destroyed and get 50% of the cost back anyway, as long as you have the stoneworker. This used to be a part of the marketplace back way back in the day in BFME 1, and I don't really miss it. I kind of like it on here more. because it makes more sense to have siege materials, you know, on a stone worker and not from a marketplace. Oh, it's so silly. Anyway, other buildings we need to talk about are the farms and the ranger tents. So firstly, ranger tents is where you get your rangers from. It used to be just a recruitment building, not a resource building. That got changed, I think, in the siege update of 4.5 when Enlargers came out. We also get to research the composite bows at level 2, and at level 3 you can recruit Athenian Rangers. And yeah, Athenian Rangers, as we've already talked about, are really good. But they're also the only unit that does not have a discount in our roster. Like, all these units, discounted. This unit, discount. This unit, no discount. These units here, discount. Well, actually, no, Donald Swan Knights also don't have discounts. But yeah, it's weird how these don't have discounts when it says Elite and Heroic units should have discounts. That also makes sense. You don't need discounts on Athenian Rangers and Dolamroth Swan Knights. They're all really good. Glass Cannony, but they are pretty good. We've also got the, as you can see, the Rangers patrolling. They do protect the tent from time to time. Then you got the farm. Very nice looking design compared to what it was back in the day. Again, that's just me making myself trying to sound old. Decreases the cost of cavalry, but also this actually specifies does not affect heroic units. You might think that's because it also you just get a discount from elsewhere, but no. You just don't discount on Swan Knights. Don't need it. And obviously we've talked a lot about the signal fire. And also one thing I forgot to talk about. I know a lot of people have been struggling to get this to work. I found... well, actually, they've actually put it back into a circle again. So it's actually fixed again. So yeah, that's quite good. They fixed it again. But before, when it was a click, what's the tooltip? When it looked like this, and you had to try and click something, I found clicking the table was the best way of getting the power to actually trigger. But I'm glad they fixed that now. Lastly, we got the Border Stronghold, but let's firstly go to our heroic statues. Which, yeah, you can even see it doesn't say on the tooltip they give a hero discount anymore. It's just on the hood here. They give a discount. Poor Golf is getting murdered. But yeah, they give, thanks to Aragorn, nearby units gain damage and armor equal to 25% damage bonus and armor bonus. It used to be 15% before Aragorn. Then you get the well. Like all other factions that have a well, you can heal while around it and give a regeneration on units by using reinforcements. And then the keep, the tower, has a reinforced garrison, so you can give it an extra tower shot every second, I think. Because instead of just going pew, 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 it goes pew, 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 pew. Very, very, very simple, very easy to understand that. And then finally the Border Stronghold, where you can recruit your Dolamroth troops, but also has a few upgrades of their own. Have banners to give it a heroic statue effect, but for damage and armor for nearby troops. Reinforce the garrison to have more archers protecting the base. You get some boiling oil, like in the days of BFME 2, with the, because you know this is the actual fortress model, but reinvigorated to look amazing, honestly, with that extra roof. And then the House of Healing to have healing as well. So if you want to build a base like this, just build this instead, because it gives you everything that this gives anyway. It's amazing. It's hilarious, even. That this base just gives everything this kind of base would already give. But, you know, is a single building that has one health bar, which, against siege, is not very good. But, you know, you have to live and learn with those things. Now we come to the powers. Another key thing about Gondor that makes them so strong. We have Gondorian architecture. Target buildings in an area will be instantly healed. Normally, you won't be able to tell how much healing it's doing, because it looks like it's almost a perfect heal to full health. Not very likely you'll see any difference. Then you get the Horn of Gondor. The sound of Gondor's horn gives you bonus attack and fear resistance for the allied troops. As you see, nice little effect. That's courtesy of 4.7, I think. They added that in for every horn. You then got the Lone Tower to summon a tower, which is good for if you've got a Baragon, because he can target that Lone Tower. Then a Barrage, which I still do not know how they programmed this effect to actually come into play, because I just don't know how or what is meant to target, because it always targets something random. Gondor siege engine seeds send a barrage which rain on the enemy. Rain on the area from the target to the nearest enemy building. Deals small damage against units and knocks them back. Does high damage against buildings. With this ability against a level 1 settlement building, if it's constantly attacking that building the entire time, it can destroy it. That's why it's one of the few tier 2 powers that actually cost free. It's pretty good. And you can see here, it is just a small barrage over and over again. And it says small damage to units. If units have low health, they will die. It can just kill enemy units. Basically, it doesn't really know what to target because there's no enemy buildings nearby. But look at how much shots are being shot. That's insane damage that could be released. It's incredible. And it's still going. Yeah, if you don't know which way that barrage is going, you're in trouble. Then we've got assistance in times of need, which we've already talked about quite a bit. Target signal fire. The signal fire now gives upgrades. Permanently gives upgrades to those fiefdom troops. Really, really good. Then we get Gandalf the White. And on here, as I've already said, he just gets more health, more damage, and recharge reduction on his power. He's already got word of power back, which is really good. Then get Pleated Eagles, which summons Gwai here and 2 other Eagles. I'm not going to actually play the ability because of how loud the music and Pippin are when you play it. You then got the Grey Company, which summons a lot of bonus things. Let's actually go over all of them. You get Halbarad, who carries the banner of Olwen Undolmiel for Aragorn. And regularly nearby fallen units will be replaced. Really good.
This is our land.
Edain and Elro here appear in their clothed states and have the healing of Rivendell. The twins and all nearby units regenerate 50% of their health. Does not affect heroes, but you know, all units is having half of their health returned. Pretty bloody good. And then you get the Grey Company pikemen, swordsmen, and archers. They all buff the unit that they're associated with. So archers gain more armor, swordsmen gain more armor, pikemen gain more armor. Really bloody good. One of the, honestly, one of the best powers in the game to use with an army. But one of the worst powers in the game to use on their own, because otherwise they're just slightly more healthy Dunedain that you get with Imladris. But yeah, they're really strong. Then you get Rohan Answers. Rohan stands by the people of Gondor and comes to their aid. For those that haven't seen the Belfast video, you know where this is going.
Muster the Rohirrim!
We get the rally banner. We can muster Rohan to get 2 Rohirrim. Over time, we'll eventually get Theoden to lead the charge. Merry and Eowyn will join in. And then Eomer will join in as well. And over time, we'll get more Rohirrim in the muster. So to begin with, a tier 4 power acts like a tier 3 power at just immediate use. But give it time, and it'll become even more than just an ordinary tier 4 power. This is a killer of a power. It's amazing. Already, I've just been rambling on. There's already 3 Rohirrim now. And then lastly, we have our last 2 powers. An Oath Fulfilled summons the Army of the Dead. We know them. We love them. They're not really restricted by space anymore. As long as it's not like in the center of a base. You can pretty much summon it anywhere. Which is good. So I think it used to be quite limited in where it could go. But now it seems like it could just be summoned anywhere. And that summons a unit of cavalry Army of the Dead, which is as fast as an ordinary Army of the Dead. But also the King of the Dead, who make enemies around him afraid, but also can just do his laugh. Look at that laugh and that aura. Love it. They don't last long, they can die to magic damage, but my god, are they some of the strongest motherfuckers in this game. Oh. Every time you see that green aura, you have 2 choices. Run away or die trying. Because you're not going to be able to fight back. Only one faction is really capable of fighting back, unless you've got your magic damage thing, and that's Imladris with the horses of the Ruminen. Elrond with his water horses, Gandalf with all his magic abilities, Saruman with his magic abilities, I think, can struggle against them, but does have some times where it works. The Balrog can struggle, but if he gets one good flame breath off, they're done. Sauron with his in his fire state can do some pretty good damage to Army of the Dead. In his ring form, his Fires of Orodruin power is probably the best way to deal with them. who else? Galadriel, her light abilities and her mini word of power. Yeah, there's not a lot of things that can take out the army of the dead. And even if you do have those, you're better off running away anyway. Let's be honest, you're just better with running away. You then get the formations of Gondor, as we've talked about quite a lot in the beginning of the video, but we'll go over it again now. Whenever you use the formation of any of your troops, they gain 20% damage and 20% armor. Even more legion. Oh, there's the army of the Rohirrim. So you get Theoden, who has Glorious Charge, of course, amazing. Eomer has his Pillager and Piercing Spear.
Really?
Eowyn can disguise herself, though I don't know why you would want to. And she can also say, I am no man, and kill an enemy hero. And then Merry can ride with Eowyn or Eomer. And then you've also got Grimbold, Elfhelm, and you should also have Erkenbrand somewhere, but I don't see him. But all these Rohirrim can also swap between their swords to their bows. I don't know why you would want to, but you can. Yeah, Erkenbrand used to be part of this. I think he got taken out, though, for some reason. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But you also have the abilities of making them fearless, and again, nearby allies are fearless. And yep, definitely one of my favourite powers to just throw at something and watch an enemy base get destroyed on its own. It's so fun. Not a lot can kill an army that has 20. It only takes a quarter of its normal damage. It's so bloody good. Even in BFME 2, when it would work on heroes, it was stupid. But now it's amazing because it actually has a purpose, other than just using it on cavalry. Because you can just summon an army and then boom, cavalry army, death. Destroyer of Worlds comes to your door. And what was I talking about before then? Oh yeah, just all units getting more damage and armor for having their formation. And again, if it's an elite or heroic unit, it's only 10%. But you know, the Fountain Court Guards have that permanent 10% damage and armor boost because they're always in one of those free formations. They're never just in a basic formation getting nothing. They're always getting something, and it's so good. Oh. Okay, overview. Now for the end. As I've already said, it's pretty simple. Gondor is a simple faction. They're probably the simplest faction in the game to learn, to play, to have fun with, and just dominate with. They're so much fun. It's hard to not have fun with Gondor. As I said, one way you can not have fun with them is not use their heroes, because that's the main fun of Gondor is using your heroes, because they do so much for you. And I always strive in the first minute or two to get a hero planned out, because you just need them. Gondor heroes are there for a reason. They're amazing. There are some factions that I actually say don't get their heroes for all the time because the units are better. Gondor is definitely the not quite like that, because the units are also really good. But always try and get all their heroes. My favourite strategy for Gondor used to be use Baragond, Signal Fire, recruit all your heroes, get all your resource upgrades, get all your upgrades, and then just get your best stuff, because you don't need anything else. You just now won because you have all your heroes. Gondor is just that faction. They're the faction you don't mess around with. They're the faction that has enough versatility to be a threat to anyone, but also are just simple enough that you can counter them if you know how to play against them, which not a lot of people do. Mainly because of powers like Police of the Eagles, and yeah, they just have a lot of different summons as well that makes them really strong. They're just strong. I would still say they are the strongest faction in the game, and are still the easiest faction to learn in the game, in my personal opinion. Some people might think differently, but I think they are just that top tier. They don't need much. They didn't get given much. They just don't need it. They're perfect now in their current state. I hope you've all enjoyed my over-explain of Gondor. And I will see you all in the next one, which I've already said is Rohan. It's going to be in the next video, which is Wednesday. Bye! Yes, okay, I forgot. Don't judge me. Anyway, here they are. The Guardians of the White City. If anyone's that's still watching, they give you all nearby troops resistance to fear. They're also really cool. You can get 3 of them from your city, from your barracks here, and then you can summon 2 from here from Boromir's ability. You can summon 2 more later on. And obviously, if you get that something like Elrond's ability, Restoration, you can keep getting them out over and over and over again. And instead of being temporary, these are permanent. There we go. We've seen everything. Hope you've all enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.